I'm a, I'm a founder and CEO for IDA, that stands for India Economic Development Association. I've been associated with Global Chambers since 2020, and I've just taken as a executive director for Goa chapter. So once again, a new journey is starting for me. We are all very familiar and associated with each other. And for Goa chapter, again, as Manoj mentioned, my role is to grow the chapter, collaborate, grow the network, get the right kind of people on board, and increase the networking activities as of now. So I'm just starting with the new role. Thank you.
Thanks, Aarti. Santosh,
Are we just giving an introduction?
quick, and then I'll come to the point also what we can talk.
Yeah. So myself Santosh Raghavan here, and I'm basically into foodstuff exports from India. We export to 16 plus nations from India, and we do have overseas offices in Sri Lanka, Maldives, and Dubai. And we are exporting foodstuffs and also concentrating on paper industries now. And apart from that, I'm also the executive director for Global Chamber in Bangalore, building up this chapter. So that's it about myself, and I'm currently in Vietnam, joining in from Vietnam now. Thank you.
Thanks, Santosh. Thanks. Sarita? Sarita, you're on mute. If you can. Okay. Before Sarita comes, Darshan, I can see Darshan. Sarita, you're there. Okay, go ahead, Sarita.
Hi, everyone. This is Sarita, and I joined from India. I actually work for Emerald Technology, companies based in the UK. And we basically work as a global expansion partner for companies who want to expand their business internationally without setting up a legal entity or a subsidiary in a new country. So we provide services for that. We basically manage their workforce, payroll, taxes, benefits, all the compliance, including labor laws and everything. So that you can, focus on your core business, and we take care of all the headaches of your employees. Yeah, that's what we do.
Thanks, Sarita. Elisa? Okay, before Elisa comes back, we'll wait for Darshan. Darshan, can you hear us? Okay, then we go to Nee Sanusi. Nee, can you hear us?
Oh, yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry, I can't put my camera on at the moment. Just came in to observe. My name is Nee Sanusi. I'm in Lagos, Nigeria. I was invited, so I'm quite interested in India. I'm a lawyer in Nigeria, and I've had a few things with the Indian community here. So I look forward to a good discussion. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nee. Shankar, quick word on yourself.
I am with Ahmedabad, Global Chamber Executive Director. Besides that, I'm mostly in the space of attracting investments from other countries into the state. And with great opportunities in Gujarat, like the Gift City and many other industrial zones and industry parks, what we do is we do the soft land support in identifying land, in identifying talent, in identifying ways to actually navigate your way into the governmental space in the private sector, and come up with a solution for international companies looking at Gujarat. That's what I do.
Thank you, Shankar. So today, what we're thinking is, like, we'll keep having this India meet. One of the things I wanted to just throw open is, one is we could have a specific need. Like, let's say, Priya, you feel there is something you would be able to tap, and you have a question for any of the India chapters, or you get a need in one of these cities in India, and or a specific ask, we should be able to, next time onwards, even ask each other, okay, this is my problem statement, So that is one part I was thinking too, because ultimately, as a chamber head, we need to attract membership, and membership needs to get value. So I think what we need to do is go back to our members, however we keep accumulating, is what is a specific ask. Because the members who would join us would be largely looking at our network of 555 chapters. Okay, because that's the strength we bring to the table. And we have our colleagues who are there as EDs in various cities, right? So that is one thought I thought. And secondly, from an India standpoint, one of the areas which I thought I'll just share with you, might not be relevant with everybody, is that medical tourism is growing in India, right? So let's say somebody from Sydney or Nigeria or wherever, you want your members or personally anybody is interested in building that sector up, because it starts from now. People come here. Besides, the wellness program is very popular in India, all kinds of naturopathy, yoga, all kinds of wellness. And the second is your knee surgery, all ortho, plastic surgery, cosmetics, you name it, except stem cell therapy. Most of the therapies are available here across India. South India has a lot of hospitals. So these are all corporate hospitals, bigger chains, mid-sized chain, and regulations, NABH certification, all these things are now, and India is already getting a lot of medical tourists coming in. Now, just sparking a thought, if you feel any of your members would want to tap that thing, or you want to personally have any, we could then dig deeper and give you a point of contact who would be able to take you down that line, who would be a medical tourism expert. Now, let's say in terms of Aarti, I'm just taking an example. Aarti is a pharma expert. So in fact, jointly, we're also working on some project on pharma, where there is a piece of land available in Gujarat, and we'll get Shankar later on in the loop, where pharma companies, anything in life sciences, want to buy that piece of land. It's like a pharma park. We can open it up again to all our members, so you can in turn, communicate. So there are some, we'll create opportunities and say, hey, this is available. You want to just plug it in? Fine. Or you have a specific need. Like, I'll give an example. There is one US company which reached out to me, and they do manufacturing of products which helps with brain strokes. So they're saying, we've done a pilot in Nepal, we've done this. Can you help us do a pilot in India? Okay. Are you in touch with hospitals? They need to do a pilot, and they have all the credentials there. Now, if any of, so our members could engage in that thing, get a consulting fee if they do that, because end of the day, it has to translate to some revenue. That's what we're all here for, right? How do we reach out to a global audience? How do we reach out to chapters, countries, etc., to build our profile and also give benefit to members? So I'll just pause here and happy to, get others' thoughts, because I think, and I would like to acknowledge, Doug at his leadership level has sown the seeds. The chapters are available. I personally feel, and I include myself in that are we doing enough to tap that resource? Are we doing enough for just a conversation once a month? Can we take specific problem statements and put it before the team and say, okay, this is what we know. I'll give you one problem statement. I'm looking for, because I'm also part of a visa technology company, I'm looking for any country, let's say whether it's Australia, this, that, who have connections with the high commissions. Because the technology is such, which any high commission, any country can use it to check the visa validation. Now, if that kind of warm introductions are available in any city, or, then we can bring that to the table. And of course, people will, monetize out of that, etc. So this is where I would like to, pause in that sense. Any thoughts, Santosh, Aarti, Shankar, whatever else it is? We like this to be more brainstorming and saying how meaningful can every conversation get. So I'll pause here. Go ahead.
Sure. Maybe Maybe our friend Priya from Sydney can introduce B2B as a way to actually enhance what our challenges right now is. She runs a very successful company called Corality, and she's all about B2B, which is what we are talking about in some ways, that how an enterprise can reach out and create market for them. So I would like to quickly turn to Priya and see what are the 3 high points that she would like to educate us, empower us, and we can go forward and try to implement. But having said that, Priya is also looking to enter India market as her company. And if all of us, a few of us want to connect with her, find clients for her, or even establish an India chapter, I think she is very open for that. But I'll turn to Priya to just educate us on that.
Thank you, Shankar, for your kind introduction and brief about my wishes. And thank you for the opportunity today to speak about my company and my vision about the B2B market. I started this business. My prior background is IT, so I've been in IT for many, many years. I arrived in Australia as a fraud management solution architect. So I was working in a more banking fraud area. And last 10 years, I'm running my own business. So when I started my business, I am always a homework person, and whenever I do and I mentor somebody, I always say that before you enter, you should know. No matter what kind of a business you are doing, it has to be like really homework. So in B2B market also, I always encourage people to do the research. So before I jump into the more detail, I've just brief about our capability, what we can offer on the table. So is it okay if I'll share my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Please do. Please do.
It is.
Trying to share my presentation. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so yeah, so this is about Corporality I'm gonna introduce today. And Corporality, we have registered the company in India already. We are also trademark in 8 different countries. We are actually doing business internationally. It's been 10 years. And of course, COVID was hard for everybody, including us, especially service industry. But yeah, now the time is changing, and it's getting better than every year. About companies, like it's very, I always call it, I'm a management consulting firm. And when I say management consulting firm, I'm not involved in like anything like KPMG or Deloitte, which they are very much accounting and financing side. We are very much involved in business growth and sustainability aspect. So when it comes to the business and growth and sustainability, I always talk about very passionately about it. What is growth and sustainability, and why you should be considering it, in that sense. So I'm gonna do in more presentation mode, so it will be easier for everybody to monitor. So management consulting, in that sense, we'll go. What is business growth and business sustainability? When it comes to the business growth, we always look into where we are actually heading. What are we trying to achieve? Have you entered into the new market with a new vision, or you just tried something, what you have been successful in your current market, and jump into the next market? All this we will discuss how I can value add into that. So my topic will be business to business experience, how you're going to give that strategic planning and challenges we are facing currently and we will be facing in the future. So our capability is actually, when people come to the market, my particular focus right now currently is Australia, New Zealand, anything in the oceanic region, right? So we're very focused on the oceanic region, in Papua New Guinea, in Vanuatu. It's a very, very small countries. I would say it's not more than 40 million, including Australia and New Zealand, and Australia itself has a 25-26 million people. And these are other countries are very small, but yeah, we decided everybody is looking towards the Asia and all. And these are the country we can also serve in. So we are very focused on this particular area. And for that, we have created our own ecosystem to support this area. We also develop our own framework, which we use to support people. Majority of people reaching out to us for like fractional BDM or GM role or, country manager role. When people reach out to us, when they want to establish their positioning here, they want to know somebody, they want to be, making sure that on behalf of them, somebody can go and meet and present their solution to this particular market. And as all of you know, that Australia works very different than any other part, like including especially you can't compare with the American market and European market. It's very, very different way of working in Australian market. It took me a while to figure it out when I started the business, but I'm great that I did. And of course, digital media marketing is my best, selling. But when I say digital media marketing, we don't do just bits and pieces like, can you do SEO? Can you do content writing? So no, we go strategically. We take like as an omni-channel effect, and that's how we work. We are specialized in go-to-market. So if you want to enter into a new market, we help you to do the market research, product launch, distribution model setting, pricing model, whatever it takes to establish a new market. And of course, the brand positioning is my passion project, and I have been very, very much passionate about working on that. So that's my capability. Growth and sustainability is actually our topic today. So when I say growth, what comes to your mind? What do you think? Like in your vision, how do you define the growth?
So is that a question? So
anyone
I would define
can.
Growth and either your bottom line or top line increasing, your markets increasing, your territory increasing, your products increasing. Yeah, that's what I would say growth.
Yeah. And what is your concept of sustainability? When I say sustainability, people straight away go to the environmental ESG side. I'm talking about business sustainability.
So I'll say, is the business sustainable or no? First is before we go to eco and global warming, and sometimes it is very fashionable, and I'm very honest about it. You want carbon credits, etc., whatever. But from a hardcore business middle section businessman which we represent, I want to know if I have to enter Australian market, let's say, what would you do? How would you help me reach a specific target audience? So I'll stop here. Others can respond.
Yeah. So for me, when I say sustainability, I'm going to bring it to very business oriented, and I'll avoid any word from the environmental point of view. Sustainability challenges in the business point of view, when I say, is like very cost and, first thing first comes in the cost and investment. So when you're going to actually create a sustainable business, which actually is stay longer forever, I was watching, an interview from the Amazon, and the guys, said that I'm not building this whole solution for today. It's for 300 years down the line, when people will be actually building the space shuttle from their garage, just like people are building the website from today, right? Are we thinking on those lines? Are we creating such businesses which will be actually sustainable enough to stay that long, right? I'm very, like everyone has their own ideals. For me, as a company, when I look at company who, like for me, if I'll say, oh, Oprah Winfrey will be my idol, or if somebody from the, I was very passionate about Shakuntala Devi. I was very passionate about Shobha Guddu because I love classical Indian music. I'm trained in it. So when I looked at those ideological personalities, for me as a business, McKinsey is one of my ideal personality for my business point of view, because they are also into the same space and what I do. When I was reading his characteristic, and when I was looking into his initial challenges, this whatever he tried, 25 years he struggled, and whatever changes he did in his last years, that is the same model the people are still using, and they are it is a number one in management consulting firm, right? He's not there to look into it. He died after that, those changes. And by the time the solution started working, he is no more here. But he built a sustainable business, which is actually, it's the #1 management consulting firm in the world right now, right? So are we thinking on those lines? And for that, most of the people, what I noticed, we are facing cost and investment issues. I mean, how much cost we will be investing to actually build a sustainable business? How much investment we are ready to do that? That's the first question come. Do we think about supply chain, supply chain, a sustainable supply chain? And not only this, environmental point of view, it's like, it's unbreakable supply chain. Have we created that operational model? Have we created that futuristic approach? Like when I looked at some of the suburb in Australia I go, when I look at, they never vision it like, the traffic will grow, right? As if like there is one, and it's still there in India. If you look at, I'm following very closely the infrastructure. People are building actually 12, and 13 lane. Here they are still stuck on the 4 lane. And I'm saying, if you're gonna build that, infrastructure, and if you need the population like that, you should have a population minister who should plan in the infrastructure in that sense. So are you going to build the infrastructure for today or tomorrow? Similarly, in our business, are we building in that way? What is our consumer preferences are right now? It's changing. Every day it is changing. If you look at our 10-year younger or 5-year youngers, in past people used to say, oh, there is a difference between me and you because we are 20 years age apart. But now, 5 years age apart, they talk differently, right? So consumer mindset is different, and they are so much exposed. So how can we find that intent and in understanding that if we will be able to tap into those intent and psychometrics, how we will be actually serving those one, right? Knowing that data is very important in the sustainable business building. The short and long-term goal is always a, real life we talk about, of course, and the, businesses always have that challenge. What could be the short-term goal? What could be the long-term goal in terms of the sustainability? Measuring and reporting, and obviously a lot of businesses are not measuring and reporting. And when I was analyzing the maturity model recently for one of our business, I found out that industry-wide, there is only 7% people are actually thinking about the futuristic approach. They are hardly thinking how we are actually going to sustain in the business, how they are going to build a maturity model around that so that it will be actually staying after beyond us as a legacy, So for that, I always believe the strategic planning. And when I say strategic planning, everybody started calling themselves strategists these days. It's very, very common word. Like, especially in Australia, every second person I meet, they say, oh, I'm a strategist, right? Business coaches, strategists is in every corner. Okay. So but when I start asking about the strategic planning aspect, it is really people are not thinking. They are just copying YouTubers, some strategy, and they are implementing. But strategic planning in businesses are very much important when you are actually creating and working towards a sustainable and growing business. Growth is very important. And I always see there are a lot of businesses are going into the franchisee right now. For example, if I'll give you an example, when the Starbucks came to Australia, they did not even plan the market properly. They used they went to China and they were very successful, right? So they tried to implement the Australian market as is. They thought there are a lot of white people, and obviously they drink coffee. It will be okay. But when they came here, nobody liked the Starbucks. Still, there is a popularity is lower than anywhere else in Starbucks. And the reason why, when Australia got the coffee introduced, that was introduced by Greek and Italians when they came after World War II, right? So, and they did not think on those lines. They created American coffee here, which was not acceptable for the local market, right? So without doing their research, they went into the $70 million loss, right? And then they have to actually wrap it up, slow it down, and then bounce it back. And they are still trying to struggle that their so many stores closed down just because they did not plan localized way. how the local thinks, what the local wants, and it's not just into the food businesses, it's also into the service industry, professional service industry especially. They never plan how they are going to be challenged in that particular market. So when they enter into any market, they do not proper plan, they do not market research, they don't do the market segmentation. They think that my product is successful in India, it means it will be also successful here. But guess what? Minimum viable product scenario you always have to implement in every new market, right? So that those kind of a strategic planning is very, very important in my mind when I actually go into any segment,
So Priya, I will request you to 2 minutes, just wrap that up too, because we want to give others a chance also. Yeah.
Right. So those are my actually aspect when I see that how we can actually enter into the new market and grow that. And to sum up, I would suggest that if people wants to come to Australian market or anywhere in I'm still looking into the India market. I haven't entered into the India market, but I'm actually registered my company and I'm looking for my next chapter to slowly establish. And that's why I started exploring and trying to learn from everyone, how India market will actually operate. Because I was a software developer there. I was not a business owner there. So for me, India market is, even though I'm an Indian, India market is a new market for me. So I'm going to actually rest myself here, and I would like to ask, open a question, or if you have any suggestion for me, please let me know. That's how I help people.
Thanks, Priya, and like to welcome Priya, who's joined us. So Priya, thanks for the introduction. And so Priya, just to give you a quick recap, and we met and we started the conversation, each one introduced. So I was just trying to mention that if you look at from a global chamber perspective, what is our role as ED heads of each city is giving value to each member. First is build the membership growth, give them value. And why would they need us? I mean, it's a question, is it just virtual seminars, or what is the value we can add? Can we leverage, which we have not done that, and I'm guilty of that too, and I think most of us are, to see that, let's say Priya gave a presentation, and now if she wants a market strategy, because she was explaining to enter her business in India. Now, depending on Priya, I would tell you, would you be able to then dice it and saying, okay, I'm looking at healthcare segment or this vertical or engineering, whatever, where the things are there. So then maybe amongst ourselves or among a member, we could send that lead out that, okay, this is somebody looking for something. Can we fructify the lead? So I think and we also started, like say India has I just mentioned, one of the services it offers to global members is medical tourism. Okay. Yeah. So somebody who's interested, we can help them, navigate them to corporate hospitals, medical tourism management consultants, etc., etc. So one of the aspects which I want to open up, like I know Priya, and which I'll tell her to step in, has also, besides Global Chamber, very strong network individually, what she does and what she does with UK. Okay. Now, how can we bring all those, our networks of networks through Global Chamber to help each other and help our members? I think that's where we'll really see growth, conversations growing, and value to be added. So I've seen now Ni is there from Lagos, Nigeria. And Nigeria is a tough market to enter. I've heard from people, there are various challenges, etc. Now, where there are challenges, there are opportunities. Now, probably would somebody like a Ni, once we know him better, help us or help our clients get into Nigeria? Okay, like Santosh mentioned, he's in the food business, currently sitting out of Vietnam. If he had to start exporting to Nigeria, how would he do that? So I'm saying, so more than numbers and this $1 billion GDP, etc., $1 trillion, is how do we bring it down to grassroots level to help each one of us as our members? I'll stop here and over to you to just add on.
Right. Good afternoon. Actually, good evening from Delhi, that Gurgaon. That's where I am. And sorry, I joined a little late, but I was, Monday afternoon. It's been pretty frantic since morning with some clients, and also apologies. Priya, I did miss quite a bit of your session, but I will catch up on the recording. It's a subject very close to my heart. Love to know more. And Shankar, good to see you. Manoj, good to see you. Aarti, very good to see you again. Santosh, I can't see you yet, but good to be in your presence. So, Manoj actually did mention about Global Chamber, very important point. I mean, Manoj, what really resonates with me is what you said just now about let's not only keep talking about the GDP and the contribution and the scope. I think those are established facts. We, as the executive directors of Global Chamber at the grassroots level, what impact are we being able to create for our members? How are we able to move the needle forward for their businesses? So, completely aligned with you on that. To that effect, I would like to say that every now and then, me as part of Global Chamber, but also as overall managing or being at the forefront of Connexus Global Ventures, where we help women-led businesses and associations and initiatives grow globally. Our focus is a lot on women leaders, and whatever support we can look at, sort of connecting the dots, not just for India, but for UK. And another very interesting opportunity has come, and I think my colleagues have heard me speaking about this earlier, maybe 3 months ago, where I spoke about the Uzbekistan opportunity. If you remember, I think Manoj, all of you were on the call, Santosh, yes. So finally, the Uzbek government and the embassy here has come back to give us a green chit on being able to take a delegation to Uzbekistan. In fact, today I was on a call with them to, you're going this week to Uzbekistan, Santosh. But
Yeah.
this delegation is now planned for the end of May. So, Priya, if you're interested, Aarti, if you're interested, Manoj and Shankar, women leaders in your ecosystem, anybody, we are looking at it. The time is short, but I've seen that long gestation periods and a lot of planning doesn't fructify. So sometimes it's good to work with smaller deadlines. And there we are interacting. We are going to three cities, and they're planning everything out for us. So very happy to sort of extend this opportunity to all of you here. I think regardless of the brand that we are operating under, the objective for us, all of us sitting here today, is to make the world a dot by connecting people, by connecting opportunities, by connecting ecosystems. So, I mean, that is one opportunity that I always offer. Secondly, collectively, we have a formidable network, I would feel, Manoj's network, Shankar's, Santosh, Aarti, all of us. I think here we have a formidable network which we can tap into only if we know what needs to be delivered. So our members just need to ask, Manoj. So
Yeah.
just to add on to what you said, I thought I'll talk about this.
So the Uzbekistan opportunity is for entrepreneurs, and then what is the broad guideline on what do we do? Go to factories, meet chambers, or how does it work?
So Shankar, so far they're very interested in this being a women-led delegation.
Okay.
Right? Because the Uzbekistan government has never done anything which has never got a delegation which is primarily women centric. And my contact point out there, the lady that I have to work with, is also, I mean, she's heading a large association of women there, which is government supported. So as of now, I think they would prefer that we get, I mean, of course, it's okay to have 2 or 3 men, but predominantly they want to see a women-led delegation, and there will be networking opportunities. There will be some cultural immersion, and so on and so forth. We're still working on what should be ideally the best possible format. They have shared something with us, so they've obviously put their thoughts behind it. But we will also now sit down and then tweak it. I'll ask you all also for your inputs.
Sure.
So to add to
Share,
Shankar's
Priya, a
question,
little more details
yeah.
about this delegation on the WhatsApp or
Yeah,
email.
absolutely.
It will
Just
help.
allow me till this weekend. We're trying to put some communication together, and hopefully by by just this week I'll need till this weekend. And the person who's sort of helping in all of this, he has a lot. In fact, trying to get him on board the Global Chamber as well. He has a lot of alcobev, spirits dealing with Uzbekistan. He's running a firm there, and he is importing a lot of alcohol, gins and things like that from the UK as well as from Uzbekistan. So I'm trying to onboard him initially as advisory council member for Global Chamber, and then let's see how it works. So once he comes into the Global Chamber fold, then the whole thing expands in terms of this being a gender agnostic uh, foray into Uzbekistan. But as of now, I think they want to see more women. He's traveling overseas. He's coming back on Thursday. That's why I said over the weekend we'll iron out all the details, agenda, commercials, most important, other commercials, and then I'll be in a position to share it with
Yeah,
everyone.
because just next week I'm having an event with Goa Chamber of Commerce. It is a Diva finale, which they have invited me to judge. One of the judges I'm going to be, and there are three segments. There are women entrepreneurs, there is MSMEs, SMEs, and the self-help groups. So if I have the details of this delegation, I might be able to introduce it to all the, because it's only going to be a women entrepreneur program. So it will really help me.
Predominantly,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, you're the one in Goa, you're saying.
Yes, one in
Okay,
Goa. So it will be great if I have the details. I can introduce it over there.
That'll be amazing. When is it, Aarti? When is this you mentioned?
It is happening on. That's the reason I asked when it is. When is your delegation taking off to? Is it end
so
of
this
the
is
May?
going to happen end of May. Last week.
Last week. Okay, fine. This is happening on the 22nd of May, 22nd and 23rd, 2 days event. And the grand finale is happening on the 26th. So we will be basically judging all the finalists, and we'll be having the grand finale on 26th. So before that, if I can introduce the program, it might, yeah. So
yes,
we don't know. It's a very
send all the
short
collaterals out
time.
to everyone. I mean, to Manu, to everyone here. I'll send it out. Even to Priya, everyone. I'll send it out.
Okay. That's
fair point.
Thank you.
Anybody else wants to? Santosh, you've been silent. So you want to understand, or how? I mean, some thoughts on your thoughts on how do we make Global Chamber more effective? What are your members asking? Actually, I was thinking, can we ask a problem statement and then share it and see we can jointly solve the business problem?
Yeah, thanks, Manoj. See, I started to take up this position in the last year. So my motivation for joining is basically to connect the global markets. Since basically I'm into foodstuff exports and I'm currently in Vietnam. And this particular week, again, I'm moving to Thailand and then move to India and then move to Uzbekistan. So for me, the motivation behind is basically, getting into emerging markets. Since I myself own my own business, one of the biggest challenge when you get into an market entry is basically to understand the market itself than the connections, right? So what I see is, I feel that there should be some the product. I mean, most the members what we have currently, like we have like 2 to 3 members. Those are basically into IT segments. So they started to come to us telling us that we wanted to emerge in new markets. We wanted to develop new markets. I'm already into this markets. How do we get into that? So that's a problem statement that every business guy who is basically looking to grow global wants to understand. So I can say, since we have a privilege, and I did meet Mr. Dr. Nam, who is the executive director for Vietnam here. So he was also telling he's a new executive director again. So we were having quite a bit of discussions about how do we basically connect Vietnam and India. If you go back, I came here for the first time in the year 2020. So 2024 till 2024, I did not see anything. Now suddenly in 2024, I'm seeing that okay, there's some business can be worked out. So I'm now registering my company, going here and there, figuring out if something can be worked here. It takes time. It takes your own, I can say, connections to build, products lines to sign up, markets to emerge in. I mean, what I can say is every business goes through the similar kind of connections, wherein you understand a market, you get excited for the first time, but when you try to execute certain things, it takes your own pace of time according to your level of business, your finances, your risk taking capacity, your opportunities, your growth. It does take some time. So I mean, the motivation what I have with Global Chamber is I see that we have an pretty great connections and networks that can be utilized. I mean, the other day I was speaking to Rich from US, so he was telling that he's quite excited to work. I was speaking to Europe and Spain, great market. I mean, it is just an exchange of knowledge, exchange of what is working and what's not working, and you just dig in. So, I mean, I see that one of the motivation for people who to join Global Chamber is we have 500 plus chapters. That's pretty big to be a part of, and I see that we have a huge scope. But the challenge is we need to move forward and make people introduce Global Chamber to the entrepreneurs who is actually needing it, because I see there's a lot of people who needs us, and I see we need to work on some branding, some kind of a awareness programs that can be done in each metro cities basically to start with, and then plunge into tier 2 or tier 3 cities as well, because I see even tier 2 tier 3 cities have a great opportunities where entrepreneurs are wants to move out to the global markets. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
So Santosh, I have a question for you. See, the Global Chamber has got its networks, and there are people with varied interests and various capabilities. Now, when you look at your particular area, you are trying to export food products, packaged food. Now, you have a strategy for that, that you can actually do it, and you can do it separately or inclusively with the Global Chamber. So how do you see this? You already have a plan in which you operate. Why I'm saying this is because right now we have many people, like Australia is there, and there is somebody from
Nigeria is there.
yeah, so like that. But having said that, if somebody came to me and said something, can you find a market for this across India? We want a distribution network. I'm not qualified in that. So it would be helpful for us to know. Supposing I got a lot of friends over here who are into making all kinds of packaged food products. If I can tell them this is what we do from your side, then I can actually link it up and create what Manoj says, the sustainable model like Priya says. So if you can give your 2 cents on that, that'll be helpful. Otherwise, we can get on the WhatsApp and see 1, 2, 3 steps that I can tell my friends here. See, I know a masala guy here. He's already exporting in various African countries. I know somebody else who's a big group called the Hindu and Kakrawala, and she's such a multi-million-dollar business now, and she's got establishments in New Jersey and US and all. But having said all that, I can actually go and tell them we can do this. Is it a research first, or is it something else? How does it work?
Great question. I mean, for me, it works like this, right? I mean, the very first thing which I look at from my perspective when I wanted to export, let's say we are very strong in spices from Karnataka.
Okay.
There are very two prominent products which I am very strong at. One is turmeric, the other is dry ginger. So I just look at two markets where I could export. And let's say, for example, I have an intention to export, let's say, dry ginger to maybe to Thailand or to basically Dubai. So I basically personally go and visit, understand what's working, what's a demand and size, what's a scale we are looking at, what is a price variations in different seasons, what is a market size. So that's my approach. And my approach is we don't deal with third parties. When I say third parties, I don't export the goods to third party at all. I export to my own company and basically distribute it into that particular markets. That's the model which I work in. Now, how
That's
could
very
I be
interesting.
help of how
Yeah,
could
that's
I
very
be
nice.
of help of to people is basically see I'm into this industry from last 9 years. I got into this industry after my after my class 12. So 2014, I just jumped into this trade of export and import with my father. So pretty long story short, I mean, jumped into the trade yet a very early age, and have a clear clarity on how to work. And pretty much we are doing in Middle East, Southeast Asian markets, oceanic markets. Right now established my companies in almost 4 countries now, physically running it. Now we are looking at expanding to Europe and US markets. Now, my catch is there's a lot of entrepreneurs in India who would like to get into markets which is already there, which we are already doing it. So I would be happy to help them understand, give knowledge, share them what's working, what's not working, because it doesn't work. I mean, every business has their own limitations on risk, on finances, on market size, and all those things, right? So I could be of help if anybody needs in terms of spices, rice. These are my portfolio which I'm already working on, and apart from that, we are also dealing with fresh fruits and vegetables too. So it's not that we are working only on non-perishables. We're also working in perishables as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a both sides, right? I can also be a guy who can be a brand ambassador of that particular product, get into a market and do stuff in my own markets where I'm already established, right? And other sideways, there's always, since we are talking about this, I would also like to mention that there's also opportunities that we export from Vietnam to Dubai as well. So we have a cross market, cross linkage, cross many other things could be worked out. So yeah, I pause here, but there's a lot to talk.
So yeah, so Santosh, thanks for sharing. And then maybe we could have an offline conversation. We have seen Umesh joined Umesh Sharma. So Umesh Sharma, if you can quickly introduce and tell us about yourself and what would you look out from Global Chamber and how we can help each other and help our members.
Your question. I'm Umesh, and from 1999, I'm into the business of exports. First, I was in automotive sector, and now I'm running my own company, which is a joint venture between India and UK. We have a equity participation from the UK partners. So, with the engineering companies, the major issue which comes to us is that if we go to any of the market, we basically do not get the right people in the right company where we can introduce ourselves, our capabilities, because normally getting appointments with cold emails is not happening nowadays. So with Indian companies, this is a big issue. And like a person, like you said, that if references can be given for the manufacturing industries, mechanical industries or engineering industries, we can put them across the right people, because we almost know all the people who are doing what kind of job, and they are not exposed to the market. They know their job of doing the products, but the second line companies or the cities where I come from, which is called as a C grade cities, we don't have the exposure. Well, a lot of things are getting manufactured here. So if we have people like you who are looking for manufacturing companies, we can I can put you across. Like if it is a engineering company looking for die casted components, brass components, or press tool components, we can help the overseas company looking for the suppliers.
Oh, thanks for your input, Umesh. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody wants to share their opinion and what or respond to Umesh?
I would just like to make one point on what Manoj was discussing as all the EDs of the chapter. I think we, among ourselves, of course, that is my suggestion and input, I would say, or I'm just thinking aloud with all of you. Mainly because I have joined as an ED very recently, but otherwise I have always been attending all the programs and meets and been a member of the Mumbai chapter. What I feel is, what is our individual expertise and what exactly are we planning? I know we all are individual professionals. We have our own, like I see most of the time we are having, posting most of our activities on LinkedIn. I, as coming from a B2B background, I have my upcoming events which I am constantly. But when we talk about how we each other can help, I think we have to interact between us and keep on telling us what are the upcoming activities. And like in between, I saw that Shankar wanted to have some help where he wants to organize a conference or a summit. So to start
yeah,
with, we
Aarti,
offer
I
each
wanted
other
to.
an expertise. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
come
just
again.
I just remembered because Priya is really looking to do a B2B event in India, and I think you are the right partner for her. You can always talk offline with her and see what you can do.
Sure, sure. I was going to ask Priya one more question, but I think among us, how we can, benefit each other, like what help I can give to Priya or Manoj or Shankar with my expertise or my individual professional services, what I'm offering to my industry. So if that we know about each other, then probably what we can do individually with our chapters or an interconnecting chapters. Like when I was appointed as Goa chapter, I have many things I have planned. So one of the things I think I have discussed this with Manoj also, that something like a leadership summit or small programs where I could be able to invite all the EDs from all the executive directors, especially from India, who can, Goa being a tourism spot where there is a lot of opportunities are coming in the IT and the agricultural sector. I see a lot of opportunities because I'm associated with Goa Chamber of Commerce. So a lot of things are happening in the green energy sector. So this is how I feel if we interact more and tell each other what are our strengths and help we can offer to each other, that way we'll be able to, grow the chapters as well as, I think, what you can say, connect with more members or grow our chapter memberships. If I hope I'm little clear on what I want to say,
So
because there are
Aarti,
many ideas bouncing
yeah.
in my head right
So
now.
Aarti, to add to what you're mentioning, I think that's a good point. What I'm trying to say, can we go down among ourselves, and I don't have the answer, to the next level of saying, let's say Devapriya has a client in her client while she's operating in a space who has this problem statement, and she doesn't have to tell us the name of the client. I mean, this is a profile, and they're looking for, let's say, something in Goa or something in Korea. Okay, can we float that as a query or a thing to find a solution? I think ultimately, besides, again, I'm repeating webinars, there's so much going on, not only Global Chamber, all over the world and all that. I think specific, whether it's current members, potential members, or our own clients, which we do, okay, can we give a solution? In Priya's case, she's looking for India as a market. So let's say Shankar mentioned, can you, for example, after listening to Aarti, can you help her? And that could be a separate conversation you all could both have, right? If again Devapriya opens up a query, maybe I could respond, but it's starting here, but that could be private conversations on the side, right? Because you don't have to talk about it to everybody, but just saying, okay, so just example, I need connects with most anybody, any retired diplomat, any retired bureaucrat, largely, in high commissions around the world. Because one of the companies I engage with are doing a visa fraud prevention technology. So any high commission, any country, anybody, where all I need to do is reach out to them, whether Zimbabwe, Nigeria, all that, and tell them, hey, this is the technology we have, which will reduce your fraud prevention on your visas. So I have a specific ask. The key in today's world is there's an overcrowding and we need to, but in that overcrowd, have a needle in a haystack where think a particular thing specific, can we find that answer for them? Okay, for our clients or ourselves. I think then strength of membership, use cases, people sharing their success stories, will help us. Of course, somebody else mentioned we should, and this we had to do, all of us have to get together on another call to basically put a basic page, which we are all talking about, and start some branding activity. So that will attract members, leads. So if I get a lead for Delhi, I'll pass it on to Dev, Priya, Goa, pass it to you, Ahmedabad, Shankar, and vice versa. So I know this. So ultimately, I think all of us will have to do is have enough resources, then add a resource amongst ourselves. Let's say I'll add another specific person who will only look, because while we are doing so many other multiple things, we tend to obviously, might not we keep the eye from the ball. Is then we can afford to allocate a person within our network, pay them whatever else it is, and tell them, listen, your role is only day in and day out, go after membership, talk to members, find out the problem, and give a solution. I think that will move the needle up, because world is small. If you add value, people come to know. They'll say, oh, like, if you know of organizations like AmCham and others globally in the USA, people are paying $20,000 to be members per annum, right? Why they are doing it? Because they get to meet bureaucrats. They want to, in form of advocacy, meet a policymaker. So we need to understand we are not there. Okay. We need to understand our strength, what is our, and then like MSME strength. And because the bigger players will go to the YPO, that network, they will go to your larger networks where they can afford. We're not even looking at that. We're looking for members who can afford to pay X amount and give them that value. I'm just thinking loudly.
In fact, Manoj, if you remember the
I think
groundwork
it's a good
has
idea.
been already, yeah, no, sorry, did I hear
Continue,
someone speak?
Priya. Continue there.
So I'm saying that Manoj, you and I, we worked extensively on preparing a foundation for this, the common branding and the common allocation of resources and things like that. So that white paper is already there. We can probably share it with everyone. Initial days when we had, you remember all that work
I
that
remember, I recall.
I think it's all there. We can probably share it with other EDs and put something like this together. We had also suggested like a basic, like a page online too, which would be like showcase of what we do. So that definitely is important, and someone really going behind getting those memberships, that's important. I'm currently under Connexus. I think some of you also know that we're running a virtual trade mission for women entrepreneurs. And Shankar was also helping me recruit some delegates for that. And now that virtual trade mission is underway. So this is basically trade mission between India and UK, where UK entrepreneurs are exploring India, Indian entrepreneurs are exploring the UK, or women entrepreneurs. And we're building like a corridor, like we're adding to the corridor without having to budge from our homes and our offices. So it's all virtual. So we've kicked it off with a series of one-on-one discovery calls. So it's essentially getting into a call with the participant one-on-one, understanding her business, understanding her aspirations and what, and then amongst ourselves, me and my partner in the UK, we are figuring out who to plug into for them. So what do business owners really look for when you're navigating a global landscape? One is knowledge, because you want to know all about the legalities. You want to know market entry strategies, what is on, what is not, the financial aspects, things like that, how to build a global brand, how to navigate culture. So that's the whole knowledge aspect, which is not really syndicated anywhere. So, that's one thing that people will need from us as part of Global Chamber. I'm just putting my virtual trade mission experience into this discussion. Then they need networks, right? So warm introduction. This is what Manoj, you spoke about all this while, is that, how can we connect the dots? Like Priya is looking for inroads into India. Who do we know? Who does she, who do we know who can help her business? I just looked up her LinkedIn. I see that she's a fractional BDM. She's a, she offers fractional services. Marketing is her core expertise. So who in India would like to avail of those services, and vice versa? So who really would be a good connect, and how can we provide the warm connect so that her network grows? And the third aspect is essentially visibility. So it's knowledge, network, and visibility. Essentially, if we can map, or if we can cater to these three specific areas to begin with, I think we've got a good thing going.
Yes. So Devpriya, thanks. And on this note, immediately what comes to my mind, and I'll exchange you on a private note. Like, so there is this very enterprising, very wealthy lady who's done a coffee table book on a subject which I'll share with you. Now she's planning a visit to UK, okay, London. And and she wanted help connecting with people there and all that. And trust me, if we can do that, I mean, because dealing with, she'll pay a service fee for doing that, correct? Now, here is, of course, you need to understand whether that book is adding value. It's adding value because the social sector, cervical cancer, help what she's done in the past and all that, and help women from marginal societies and all that. And without naming, she's wife of one of the largest pharmaceutical company. Okay, and so again, here, and she reached out to me, okay, can you help me connect with me, while I'm there in the visit? So imagine now if I take your network, and just so for me, the interest would be put you together in that part, and then you feel, first share it with you feel there is value, you can add value, then loop you in with that person, and then can add value, and we can generate revenue out of it, correct? Because, and of course, say
Incredible,
for
Manoj, that
doing,
you're talking about this particular thing is because one of our delegates, one of the participants in this virtual trade mission, who's very keen to move into, who's keen to expand her offerings into the UK, is a medical fitness specialist and a cancer coach who works with people who are in the last final stages of cancer and the caregivers. So you can imagine how powerful it is. And she is looking to sort of build some. So what's really coming to my mind is somebody who can connect with her and offer complementary services as a package to targeted cancer hospitals and rehabilitation centers. So what we are putting together for her is we're sort of connecting her with some of these cancer ecosystems out there in the UK. So if your connection came along, we could probably look at it as a holistic offering and send them out there into the corridor. So I think more conversations, we're all doing stuff, but more
correct,
conversations, as Aarti rightfully mentioned, is that we probably need to see what all we are doing, all of us, and join hands and create collective impact, because individually we're doing so much. And can you
correct,
imagine when we actually come together collectively, what we can do for the members of
magic can
Global
happen.
Chamber?
Yeah,
Magic.
magic. It's like, and so I feel, we're heading towards the time we have finished the timeline over 1 hour. But in summary, and if anybody wants to put some comments, because we saw Eric and uh, Malvaje join later, is that I think these conversations should not only be restricted to maybe once a month, maybe we could have it twice a month, our kind of thing. Uh, I think, especially Global Chamber India EDs, let's talk more often. Okay, maybe we'll know. It's like a Rotary. I know every Monday evening, 6:30 is a meeting. Okay,
Like
so we
BNI,
know,
yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
or
and
30
it's
minutes
really
you
very
spend
much
time,
required.
so then we know a discipline. Maybe everybody might not be able to join because some will have personal family issues, professional issues. But if we could think of, and maybe Shankar, you're very good at follow up. I should give you that credit. And that a particular day we fix up in a week. Okay, that let's say Saturday 2 o'clock, or 4 o'clock, or whatever, irrespective. Chalo 30 minutes, and then we are pointed. We're not just, we say, okay, this is the problem statement we had this week. Can anybody add value? Or I feel there's an opportunity here. Like while speaking, I've already sent you that note on the UK thing. Have a look at it. Okay. So point is on the WhatsApp. So point is, if we could start having that, that will first build comfort and confidence in us. And Santosh, whatever you talked about, the food thing, I'll give you a slight hack in that. I know, without naming, a big food exporter, huge. The biggest market he has is Nigeria and all these things. So he said my biggest challenge was uh, to trust. Trust issue was the issue, right? Because
Yeah.
of various reasons. Now he took that risk with 2 or 3 clients, but obviously he's charging a premium for the risk, which I'll talk offline. But he's milking it because he cracked it. Secondly, what he does, he said, what I realized, branding. So when they were exporting to, he does a lot of exports to Russia. Let's say a mirchi powder. I'm just giving an example. So what he started in Australia, and the foreign company, they didn't have time for branding. So he builds a brand for them in their label, not sent bulk. He puts it into pouches, then puts in a container, and it reaches them. So it's like ready to go. So they just pick it up from the shelf, the distributor or the partner, and put it in the shops. So that's a second value. And what is it cost here to do a branding and packaging and all that? We are far ahead in the game, right? Now, this is something I'm sharing because I've heard it. And he has a premium in the marketplace, and he charges that X amount more. So I mean, just this knowledge itself could help you in the next level.
That's exactly what we are
I don't
planning
know.
now. Just to add you, since we are into a bulk wholesale kind of a business, wherein our trade is completely a bulk trade. So what we are doing currently is we stuff the containers, put them in our destination port, sell it up in the ports itself. So we don't go outside the port also at some point of time. Now, what we are seeing is between the port and the, I can say, not even the retail stores, but between the port and the wholesale markets, we are missing out something. So we are trying to work out the branding, as you said. So that's what you see in back of me. We're just working on that. There's some compliance issues which we are solving in India now. So hopefully, I mean, let's chat. Let's chat. I mean, there's a lot to talk on that. So I would be
And
happy
you know,
to.
he does some blended, he does some blended things on something on spices, blend and all that, which gives him that extra value. He puts 2 or 3 like pepper and other things, I don't know, together, and you know, it's ready to studies the market, what is needed in Australia. And he sometimes also picks up things from South America, some herbs and whatever else it is, blends it and sends it to Australia, wherever. So I'm just saying these are just knowledge sessions which can probably, oh, this one idea can change your business, right? Or can create revenue or profit margins for it. So I'm saying all of us, like I'm in consulting, Priya is in consulting, Shankar is in consulting, so does Aarti does. I'm sure all of us are hustling in our way, right? Something or the other. So I'm using the word hustle because now it's a allowed word to do that extra. So all of us can use the network to learn, open that network, and I'm telling you, and if there's a only thing I feel missing has been the consistency of our thing. Okay. So if we maintain that all India, at least consistency of fixing a next date, get in for 30 minutes, then we'll also know, acha, that meeting is there on Saturday. What do I have to talk about? No, is there anything? Or we might not have anything to share. So I'll pause here. Eric, I can see you have joined. So we have last couple of minutes. Any thoughts, Eric? And where are you from?
Yeah, Manoj, it's been a long time.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Eric.
You and I spoke probably 10 years ago. I'm sitting here in Washington, D.C.
Oh, Eric, you are the Eric, of course. You have gained weight, a lot of weight, Eric. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been on the call the entire time.
Sorry, I didn't want to say that. You
know. If everybody sees, I put some information in the chat about Synergy Consulting. We have about 400 employees in India, but we're also in South Africa, here in Washington, D.C., Kazakhstan, London. We're all over the world. We're looking for companies and projects to finance in India because we are successfully financing projects all over the world. We've won Deal of the Year and Firm of the Year 7 years in a row. And we won Africa Deal of the Year, Middle East Deal of the Year, Asia Deal of the Year, et cetera. But as you might remember, Manoj, I used to be with the IFC, and before that I was with DFC, and before that I ran the United States Commercial Service in India and all of South Asia, among other places. What I would offer, I look at India is a, as you all know, a dichotomy. You have extreme wealth and success, and then you still have a burgeoning but too small middle class, and you have poverty. And so often I come across Indian firms that need financing, but the attitude of many Indian people and Indian firms is we only want to export our products or services out. But then they don't understand that if you're not in the right social class or the right connectivity, it's hard to get financing from outside of India, right? Foreign direct investment, say from the IFC or DFC or a private equity firm. And so my submission, my basic premise is, even though India wants to be a primarily export culture, if you work with, say, U.S. companies or even African companies, but U.S. companies that want to export to India or work in India, that relationship relates to financing a project in India. So, for example, the largest affordable housing real estate developer in India is a firm I do some business with. It took me they wanted financing. It took me 4 years to say, well, look, if you buy some technology to the US, you're now eligible for 2% financing from US Exim. So even though they're like, well, we have our own technology, we have materials, the relationship that was struck between the firm in Florida that I introduced them to and themselves meant that I was able to get them several $100 million in funding from the US. So it's just like a marriage. It's relational. You give me a wedding ring, I cook meals. I take you to nice dates. You want to spend, you know, people are even business people are relational. And unfortunately, where Indians have been very successful is they can be very transactional. Now, mind you, I get an asterisk, everybody. I'm married to an Indian doctor from the islands, so I'm an honorary. But I say all this to say, Synergy is a firm, for example, if everybody sees the website in the chat, and my dear friend and colleague Vishnu, we're a firm that links US and global companies to Indian companies, but we're also financing tens of billions of dollars in projects around the world. So my LinkedIn is Eric Henderson. Somebody just Eric Henderson LinkedIn should come up. Tell me, Manoj, if you see it.
No, I haven't seen. That's why I put a message that everybody could.
Yeah, sure.
So while
Let
it pauses, I have had the privilege of spending time with Eric
with Eric already on LinkedIn.
So let me quickly step in. To validate what Eric is saying, I had the pleasure of meeting him in Washington, and that's been many years back. And so Eric knows the system there. He's part of the US commercial service. He knows many of the colleagues whom we knew common, etc. He has a huge resource base, and we didn't land up doing any business, unfortunately. But yeah, Eric can bring some large deals onto the table for sure. And so Eric, thanks for sharing your information with everybody on the. So I would urge and suggest that, yeah, we should all reach out to, Eric. Yeah, sorry, Eric, you were continuing, and maybe with and we have somebody else who was from Israel, from Tanzania. We'll quickly listen to him because he's talking about agriculture and agro inputs, and then maybe we'll wrap it up. So Eric, any last thoughts, and maybe others would get into you?
Yeah, no, I'll just add that I was in Delhi in October. I will add that I love the Indian people. They're dynamic and brilliant. But my concern for India as someone who's grown to love Indians is that as it continues to grow on the top end wealth, you go from 1 billion to 1.4 billion, it is the people in the lower middle class and lower class we have to make sure more Indians are going from lower middle class to middle class and from poor to lower middle class, or we will run into some of the things I think we'll see in China in the next 3 or 4 years. Their middle class is becoming disaffected, and that can unravel, not that I'm pro-China, but that can unravel things. So I think, as we all try to make our money and do things, I think we need to make sure the Indian lower middle class and the Indian, I'm talking about financially, professionally, we need to make sure we're bringing them up, because that expands the Indian market and attracts more FDI also. So that's all I would offer.
Thanks, Eric. And quickly to our friend who's from Israel. Israel. Would you like to share about your company, which you said in agriculture, and what value we can add or you can see as an opportunity between all of us? Israel, can you hear us? So if you see, he's put in the, if those who can copy and paste on the chat board, from Tanzania, East Africa, owns a company in agriculture. It deals with agro inputs, blah, blah. If you see all that, so those who want to reach out, I guess, could, reach out to Santosh. Maybe some synergy there for you because it's agriculture and food, but he's more in the social sector. But again, could be a conversation leading to something else. Any last thoughts? We have enjoyed the conversation, and it's run over time, but it's lovely. It's good conversation. So Eric, next time you go to Delhi, if you don't meet Devapriya, you're making a big mistake.
Okay.
Okay. Fair enough. So any
Manoj,
last thoughts?
And if you
on...
guys are coming to Australia, not meeting Priya Mishra, then it is
No, sorry. I mentioned Delhi because he mentioned, sorry, it's not
No,
for
and
him.
I'm telling Manoj that, Manoj, you remember that for yourself as well. If you come to Delhi and don't meet Devapriya, you're making a big mistake.
Sorry, I just meant it as a point in case it could be to all chapter members because Eric mentioned Delhi. I specifically thought Delhi.
Devapriya, I would say you were in Mumbai last time. So next time you come, you make it a point that we all meet together.
Yes, yes. No, I'll plan something because everyone is towards the west. From Shankar to all of you are in the west. And for Santosh, it's easier to come. So I think we'll plan something in Mumbai or Goa soon.
Yes, Goa. Please do that because now I'm starting my chapter is a new journey and I need support and help from all of you. So please, let's do something in Goa.
Certainly.
Manoj, are you in Dubai still?
I'm in Mumbai, Eric.
Okay.
Eric, I just had a question for you. When you say you are funding projects, are there also technology that you bring along with it that you want to find and license and joint venture or anything of that sort? Or is it just a project that we bring to you?
No, that's an excellent question. If you have a technology and you want financing to expand it in India or anywhere in the world for that matter, we absolutely are happy to finance those things.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Yes.
So no, we're not. It does. If you, let's say you have a whiz bang new 3,000 times better solar panel or any technology, we can finance technologies. Sure.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Yeah.
So with this, it's a wrap, I would say, and thank you all for staying and engaging. I think we had a very good conversation, productive. And Shankar, if you could share in at least the current India thing, then we can expand globally, that we can meet on a particular fixed day of the week and timing-wise virtually, then, understand and then reach out to everybody else also would help.
Sure, Manoj, it was excellent what you brought out today, and thank you so much for the support. And we'll all coordinate.
I think it was just everybody's interaction made it so beautiful. Yeah. Sounds like.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you, Priya.
Thank you,
Priya.
Thank you very much.
It was wonderful with you. And let me know what else I can do, taking on from where we discussed. There are a lot of private conversations we can go on and take it forward with each one of us. Make it more productive.
Let's connect with each other more and more.
Yeah,
sure,
absolutely. Ending note.
Thank you,
Devapriya. And Devapriya, I've sent you
you
that message. Have a look at it. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, Santosh.